but as you can see, I am recording. Greetings from the space station USB 3:7.
It's all about Loretta Brown from Family Guy. This is just sort of a cross-section of when she's basically spoken the most. So it's not even like her best clips, it's just sort of the clips that she...
The most of Loretta. Greetings from the space station USB 3:7. No relation.
No relation. At the tumultuous fringes of the Trouble Belt, I am 2612626, the enigmatic wanderer with an uncanny ability to decipher ancient cosmic symbols, and
I am 1561414. You can call me 15, the holographic shapeshifter with a penchant for mimicking earthly pop culture personas.
scouring radio waves of ether.
I am 1561414. We materialize as holographic Tupacs, Abbas, Ace of Bases, and Drakes. Our cosmic escapade led us to Earth.
Negative.
Securing the earthly relics, DVDs of quirky TV show Family Cleveland Guy.
What is a Jeffries? What is a Loretta? The Earthlings double spoilers.
Tonight, behold luminaries of both stage and screen, number, etc.
Unveiling yet another mystery in the vast expanse.
You are graciously welcome. ... Loretta!
Caught.
Stars of stage and screen.
Oh yeah, what happens here?
We do stars of stage and screen, and then you read it. So let's start again. Stars of stage and screen.
A flirtation with Quagmire, passion sought, Loretta.
Stars of stage and screen.
Loretta, emotionless Cleveland, love was caught.
Loretta, stars of stage and screen.
Loretta, a brontosaurus ended the love they stole.
Stars of stage and screen.
Loretta, Cleveland Jr. left in the aftermath.
Stars of stage and screen.
Loretta legacy lingers, memories in a jar.
Stars of stage and screen.
Loretta, a tangle of dirt.
Stars of stage and screen.
Loretta, Panama Canal's distant cruiser.
So we're talking about Loretta Marie Calendar Brown, Cleveland's ex-wife and mother of Cleveland Jr.
We certainly are.
Yeah.
This is well, I've been watching some of those. I've been watching a YouTube podcast about a character from a show called The Simpsons, and then I caught some episodes of this Family Guy, and I thought there's some similarities here. So I thought it would be interesting. There's something about the modcast that feels familiar to me, like I've heard it before. So it would be good to take a Family Guy character and look at her through the lens of this cast.
Yes. So she ended her wife. She was married to Cleveland, friend of Peter Griffin, and she had an affair with Quagmire based on Robert Hope, and left him.
Yes, accurate. She cheated on him, seeking the passion lacking in Cleveland's emotionless personality. There was a few women around Quahog that kind of fit the Maud bill. And I realised at first Loretta was the obvious choice, being the next door neighbour that passes spoilers. Then I realised that they live across the street anyway. They don't live next door. So it would be Bonnie.
Which one's Bonnie? Oh, that's Puddy's wife, right?
Yeah, Bonnie is Joe's wife, voiced by Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, I see.
Also a white woman.
Well, what can you say? Alex Borstein was the person who voiced Loretta, but it was written out because they complained about the demanding nature of the deep, gravelly voice required for the role.
Yes, I can both see that, and I can also see Julie Kavner shaking her fist at Borstein. Borstein is Lois.
Borstein is Lois, but she's also Loretta.
Yeah, she's a few. It's kind of whereas Kavner is just Marge, Patty, and Selma. Borstein is sort of more of the women around town, like Trisha Takanawa. Any women of colour is really the area of
But she seems to be getting away with it, so let's not.
Yeah, Family Guy does for some reason. Well, they would have recast if Loretta was still around now. They would have recast her as they have Cleveland.
Ah, okay. Who did Cleveland? Did what's his name? Josh Weinstein? What's the guy who runs Family Guy?
Seth MacFarlane, but the
Yeah.
guy who voiced Cleveland is a guy called Mike Henry, I think. And
Okay.
now he's voiced by a guy. They basically just held a sound alike kind of audition thing, and
Okay.
then hired the guy who sounded the most like Cleveland as opposed to like a prominent voice actor.
I love Cleveland's voice. He's definitely got one of my favorite voices in the Family Guy.
Yes, he also is the only character I've seen so far where if no one had told me the voice had changed, I wouldn't have realised.
Okay.
It's the best voice change of any of the shows that have
So
caught up to the modern day.
Despite the amicable parting on Family Guy, the Cleveland show's pilot depicted Loretta as spiteful towards Cleveland, taking possession of their old house while leaving their son, Junior, with him. The the spin-off, the Cleveland show spin-off, she does well, I guess that does she get accidentally dropped a skeleton on her in the pilot?
No, it's like halfway through the first season.
Okay.
She's mentioned a lot, I think, throughout the course of the Cleveland show or any sort of Cleveland episodes, but other than that, Brontosaurus death scene, she isn't actually in the Cleveland show. She's just referenced. So yeah, the house is empty for a while. Cleveland moved and they sort of imply that Loretta's there, but then like Bill Murray and Steve Martin live there at one point.
Hello, this is their sister for 8, 15, 16, 23, 42 here to interject. Bill Murray and Steve Martin never lived in Loretta Brown's house. It was in fact Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd.
And like some other stuff goes on where Loretta isn't actually a prominent neighbor. Like you never see her as a neighbor in Family Guy, but it's
Okay.
implied that she has taken the home. Because again, she's not the most popular character and not one to be fleshed out.
The thing is that she's kind of feisty and reminds me a little bit of what's Jeff Garland's wife called in Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Oh
Susie.
yes,
Reminds me kind of like that. She could be played as that kind of character for sure, or they could just make her spiteful and mean, like it seems like they kind of did a bit.
they just seem to go for whatever works for that episode, which
Okay.
is like we'll see her in this sort of like completely go back on what she'd done to Cleveland and be fully apologetic. And then after that, take the house and give him the kiss. But just sort of whatever fits. But that makes sense. Like if you're gonna do a spin-off, Loretta wasn't a solid enough character to not have that happen to set up an entire spin-off.
But surely she was more interested in giving him like a wife who was very understanding. Surely that's why the sitcom failed.
Yeah, I don't know, kind of possibly, but they brought all of Cleveland's sitcom family back to so Cleveland does still have a wife called Donna from the Cleveland show, who's still
Okay.
the same voice artist. She's just not in it as frequently, as is Cleveland Jr., who was just a hyperactive, like small boy at the start, and then when they brought him back for the Cleveland show, he's like a heavy set, like very low energy, um, character.
Yeah, it was a strange
Voiced
choice
by
to have a Cleveland spin-off because Cleveland, as fun as he is, doesn't have a lot about him. It seems like Quagmire would have been the obvious choice for a spin-off and not Cleveland.
I think I've seen this before where you have Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland. Joe's too sad and Quagmire's too dark to
Okay,
hold their own sort of series.
right. Fair
Cleveland's
enough.
the only sort of wholesome sort of one that you could believably set like a family style spin off. But I don't know why they did it in the first place. I don't mind the Cleveland show as much. It's in the same bracket as Family Guy. It's not any better or worse, but they also have
Really?
American Dad.
Yeah, but
So
surely for Cleveland, it sort of doesn't have that kind of edginess of the Family Guy. Not that it's super edgy, but I mean, clearly it has something about it.
I think just the characters are nice. We also could have two connections here. Cleveland Jr. is voiced by the same actor who voiced Cthulhu in the Cthulhu cast, and
Okay.
the recurring barman in the Cleveland show is just David Lynch,
Oh yeah,
voiced by
yes, yes.
voiced by himself, which is strange. It's for a small kind of spin-off show. It got some odd big voices.
I always connect Seth MacFarlane with Seth Rogen, but I think that's because they're both called Seth.
It could be that would be the prominent connection, freaks and geeks.
Donna's revelation after Loretta's death, Cleveland's new wife reveals that Peter's told that Loretta had been involved with Adam West, Ollie Williams, Frank Sinatra Jr., and the greased up deaf guy.
Yeah, I don't know why that came up either. I don't know if that was in the funeral. It seems like they just wanted to sell Donna in the Cleveland show, so they just really went hard for Loretta. You can see it just in the bonus stuff later when he's describing when he says it's about Loretta and he says what about her, and he just describes her in like the worst way, like ugly, two-timing, like broke.
Wow. But then Peter Crank calls him pretending that Loretta faked her own death to trick the IRS. And then Peter hallucinated her on a cruise ship.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I'm just saying things that I know about her personally, but she's just one of those sort of minor animated female characters that sort of interest me because they just like a personality canvas where you can kind of just, as I've heard in this other podcast I've been listening to about the Simpsons, you can really dig for gold if you try, and like they must leave some kind of clues to who. Like nobody's a non-character entirely, so I just thought it would be fun to. And she still fits into our bill of starting off natural, ending supernatural.
Yeah. She's got some little quirks about her, and I think she's an interesting balance to Cleveland's kind of low key, low energy that she's kind of like, kind of a lot more in your face.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot with them in the first like couple of seasons where like there's a thing we keep calling her mom a dog, and they never really. That would have been a fun recurring sort of gag, but it's only in that one episode a couple of times, and they never really used that whole sort of if Cleveland is Ned, Loretta is Helen sort of thing where it's not Ned and Maud, it's a woman who is like not passive aggressive.
Edna, by any chance?
Potentially, yeah.
If they hadn't defanged her, boo.
Maybe, yeah.
Quick one. Let's get into some content. Do you want to give the good people some context for this content?
Yeah, it's all about Loretta Brown from Family Guy. This is just sort of a cross section of when she's basically spoken the most. So it's not even like her best clips. It's just sort of the clips that
the most of Loretta.
Yeah, like the clips where she does something and she's not just a neighbor.
There's some great like best of CDs that are not the best of. They're just like a random selection of whatever the people cheapo CD could get their hands on, and they're called the most of Cliff Richard.
Nice. What's your favorite Beatles album? I'd have to say the best of the Beatles.
Clip 2. Clip 1. Season 2, episode 7. King is dead. Oh, you are playing Lady Tiong, says generic Sancho to Loretta. They are on anchor to Loretta. They are on stage. I was supposed to be Anna. Oh, Mrs. Anna, the king needs you. You must go to him, says Loretta. Lady Tiong says, if he truly needs me, I will go to him. Enter Jar Griffin, arms crossed. All wrong. Arms thrust out, eyes closed. No good. Peter, what are you doing? She was wonderful. Loretta spits. My ass. Oh, Peter's wife says that. Her name's Lois.
No, Loretta does say that.
Lois says, Peter, what are you doing? She was wonderful. And Loretta spits, my ass. Peter responds with, on Springer yesterday, I won't share my husband, and these two women bitch slapped each other and the crowd went nuts. The anchor woman says, Springer is one of our station's highest shows to Facebook, to Family Guy's wife. I don't know. Arms folded, Peter. I thought you wanted to do a good show, says Peter. If you want to do a bad show, why don't we just do Rent? Boo. Lois sighs. I guess we can try. Loretta immediately shouts action and slaps the anchor as hard as she can to the floor.
This is a solid opening scene for a character that we're looking at. It's not her first scene, but it's her first episode where she has a role, and it's probably, it is. It's the only time we see her doing something that isn't being Cleveland's wife. I assume that's just because at this point, Joe and Bonnie don't come into it till Joe is in this episode actually, but Joe and Bonnie come in they're not established as part of the friend group straight away. Okay. So they basically just had already ran out of women because they just in the early season they had Lois. And they had Lois's mum, and then they've got Diane Simmons, the newscaster. I'll come back to in a second. And then your next one is Loretta. So
Right.
I think that's why that role went to her here. And this sort of is the only sort of display of her personality, what her personality is like outside of Cleveland, and it's still just abrasive. But she has been completely messed around here. Like she got the lead role, and then they just gave it to Diane Simmons because she's the newscaster. So she's already. It's not unjustified rage that she's feeling here, but it's not
Okay.
really Diane's fault at the same time. And yes, I like that. It's probably a funniest moment as well, which is now that it's clip one. But
I
slapping her
would
to the
argue.
screen,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
action, and slapping her to the floor is a great character moment for somebody.
Yeah, great opener, and yeah, just missed opportunities. I think the funniest bit for me is the last scene we see her in, not the first one.
Oh yeah, Diane Simmons, really briefly, just out of interest in circular things. One of the only other characters to be killed
Okay,
is Diane Simmons, and she's in that they do like the murder mystery episode where people are like knocked off a few and they kill off like 4 or 5 characters, and it's revealed that she's the murderer, and then she gets killed, and she's also killed Muriel Goldman,
oh,
who's our other Cascas friend. So there's a Loretta, Muriel, Diane. And the sort of you only briefly see it in the sort of boat scene at the very end when the ladder comes down. She's also stood next to Diane, and that's
okay.
the last scene Loretta's currently been in. So there's sort of a weird connection between the two without them appearing in any scenes together other than that one.
What season are they on?
Family Guy, like
Yeah.
22.
Oh my
Family
goodness.
Guy's like Family Guy started in like 98, 99, and then
Wow, Family Guy's only like 7 or 8 years younger than The Simpsons.
oh yeah, Family
That's
Guy's like it
crazy.
was like Simpsons was like 89, then South Park's like 95, 6, and then Family Guy's like 98, 99.
Wow.
But it does go off for like 3 or 4 years. It's on for like 2 years, and then it got cancelled and was off for like 4 or 5 years. So yeah, they're up to like season like 20 or 21.
Wow. Good too.
Yes.
Cleveland Loretta Quagmire. Quagmire is in a boat. He is fishing when Griffin, wife, and friend is on deck behind. Cleveland lands a fish. He flips it over his head and it lands in Loretta's cleavage as she sips a cool, cool deck drink. And the fish is flapping in her bosom. Sorry about that, Loretta. Giggly, giggly, giggly. Can I have my fish back? It wriggles and it flaps. Loretta mischievously says, "Ah, you're going to have to reach into the cookie jar." Quagmire, in a moment of doubt, says, "You're my best friend's wife. I can't." "All right. Reach in, all right." He reaches into her bosoms. "You go in and get that. You show that fishy who's boss," says Loretta, clearly enjoying this moment. "'Tis a gleeful scene." Cleveland arrives. "Loretta, they have some of that 3-bean salad that you're so fond of." Quagmire is elbow deep in her cleavage. Cleveland bats no eyelids. "Hey, Quagmire." Giggly, giggly. He grabs the fish. Big fish. "We will have to do this again sometime," he guffaws. "You will name the time and place, little neck," says Loretta.
Yeah, I can see the sort of the gravelly thing. For just standing up for herself immediately, like season 4, and being like, you know what, I've had enough of this voice.
Yeah.
It's similar. That's what Shira did with Marilyn Monroe, and that's not what Roswell did with Maud Flanders. It was the opposite way. It was like,
You take her name,
please,
etc.
please let me carry on. Yeah, this is just establishing her as not a very good person, basically. There's no lead up to this prior, and also this is I've just said about it getting cancelled. So it's 3 seasons, and then it's off for like 3 years. Then it comes back, and like this is like the third or fourth episode back. So it's just like they've reintroduced her as a woman who, like her and Cleveland were just sort of shown as that kind of. I don't know why Jack and Vera Duckworth from Coronation Street came to my head,
Oh, yeah.
but that kind of the couple who love each other but bicker. Whereas now it's just they don't like this marriage is over, which Kirk and Luann.
They got there quickly, right? They didn't mess around,
No, and Family Guy is known for that. Especially like this is where a lot of mid-season Simpson criticisms come from the fact that it started to try and be like Family Guy, which was essentially if it's funny enough or like silly enough, you can get away with just ramping into the plot in like a minute. But it only really works because Family Guy's always done that. It established itself as that kind of show, whereas The Simpsons just started doing
Yeah.
similar things that didn't work because it was out of out of place. I like Little Neck a lot. I like that she calls him Little Neck a couple of times.
I like Little Neck, yeah.
I also like her design, and I remember this episode quite specifically. I remember being on work experience in like year 10. Do you remember Bersha?
Oh, yeah.
I remember downloading this episode and it being like ready when I got home one day and being like really impressed with the animation. And I think it's just because of the shadows in this scene, because they'd not done anything shadow. It was way more basic the first 3 seasons, and it's kind of a little bit cleaner and it's like again like the Simpsons, but after 3 seasons, not after like 21.
So realistic. Look at that light on Quagmire's big Robert Hope face.
Yes, beautiful scene. And then Joe falls into the playing guest a celebrity,
right?
And then you put a name on your head or whatever, and Joe falls overboard and is drowning while Peter shouts "Kick, Joe, kick!" And they all and starts to guess that he's Natalie Wood.
Yes,
and then they bring him up and
a reference that most of us would not get in 2023.
No. And then they save Joe and he says, "You're right, Peter, it wasn't."
Clip 3. Cleveland, it's the same show, same episode. Cleveland is at home, the front door is open, Loretta is in a dressing gown. Were you admitting to having carnal relations with another man? Please leave. Loretta stands angrily. I am a woman. Please, he demands. I'm a woman, Cleveland. I need some passion in my life. I need a real man, and Lord knows that ain't you. Cleveland looked sleepy. I must admit, after a long day of work, I don't always come on with that. Are you neat? You are neat? You are nice. That's nice mentality. I don't know what that means. And he says something like, "Are you
He says, are you neaty on ice? That's nice." And I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. And for that, I apologize. Loretta is angered by this. Apologies. I cheat on you and you apologize? You are pathetic. To me, Cleveland Brown. I disagree, but I respect your candor. She pushes him out of the house and says, "Goodbye, Cleveland." He says, "I love you," as she slams the door in his face.
Yeah, again, they've really changed Cleveland as well. Cleveland gets way more Peterized, especially probably sitcom onwards or maybe slightly earlier, but maybe this is the start of it because he's just very subservient and you can't run a sitcom of a character who just goes with the flow and is not affected by things like his wife cheating on him and kicking him out of the home. He's just very like, okay, I respect your candor. I really like that. I can see it helps that this is the only thing in this episode that really helps Loretta out is this sort of Cleveland reaction, saying like, "Oh, this is why she's trying to get a response out of him because he's way too placid." But other than that, they really play Loretta off like she's the bad guy out of these three, and Quagmire gets next to no criticisms, and Quagmire and Cleveland are back to being best friends by the end of the episode.
Right.
They just end it with is it Rocky when they both punch each other, then it goes to a screenshot?
Yeah.
And the film ends. They just do that, and then they are just back to being, Quagmire and Cleveland after that.
Right.
And it's just sort of played off. It's played off because he's Quagmire as well. It's just who else but Quagmire.
Oh, Quagmire, giggly.
I expected it from him, but not from you, basically, is the attitude towards Loretta in this episode.
Yeah, she's kind of feisty. I didn't expect it, to be honest. When he said you cheated on me, I did not expect her to basically get up and shout at him and kick him out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a good. There's nothing wrong with having an unlikable brash character in a show. Again, I'm drawing parallels here to Helen Lovejoy, but also to Kirk and Loan again with the "I love you" slamming the door in his face.
Well, I think it seems like a disappointment to not to have Quagmire's wife be a little bit unhinged. It seems like that, while somewhat obvious, would be a lot of fun to have Quagmire as being the down-to-earth, quiet one, and having a wife who is an absolute nutcase.
Yeah, I'll just point out now that his name is Quagmire, but this character is called Cleveland.
Oh, that's what I mean. Cleveland. It's a missed opportunity not to have. And again, I'm going back. The closest I can think is Jeff Garland and Curb and Susie, who's kind of she's a firebrand. I can't think of another one where it's a quiet man and lunatic wife.
No, but it feels like a trope. It feels like there will be. Feels like there's lots of examples of that, but I can't think of any. Maybe Jerry and Beth from Rick and Morty, but Beth isn't too abrasive. She's just sort of the dominant. They
She's
do
a
the
little
sort
bit
of
more unhinged, yeah, but not to the extent that you would think would be really funny to have that.
no. They seem to commit to the man side of it, like the Kirk Van Houten sort of side of it, but not necessarily like the dominant females in those relationships where it's like the down and out loser guy who is just sort of like a constant disappointment. Yeah, they don't often do the thing where the wife is constantly angry and shouting.
There's an episode of the IT Crowd where they have a dinner party and Moss gets paired up with that woman who's drunk and not unhinged, and that's
Yeah,
remember
that's
that one? And then by the end, he's acting like
married couple.
an old married couple, and he's disappointed with her, and she's going off at him in a similar
Yeah.
way.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, I can't really think of any because it's just sort of it's not really. It would get tedious if it was too often. Like she would just be every time Cleveland came in, it was they would have to make it really funny.
Isn't it? It's
Or
not that too dissimilar to Homer and Marge, isn't it? It's just flipped. Like the joke is that Homer is stupid and he does stupid things.
I did think that when I was describing the down and out loser thing, then that it's just kind of Peter and Lois, Homer and Marge, Fred and Wilma. That's not necessarily Fred and Wilma. Fred's
No, but
pretty
it's
successful.
flipped. It's genre flipped.
Yes. I don't think she got enough credit going forward, is what I will say. I think Loretta really, because she was already the sort of abrasive, unlikable character, she got all of the brunt of what happened to Cleveland here going forward.
Ah, it's too much. Too bad. I do think it's a good ending where I love you and she just slams the door in his face. That is but then we're back to season 7. So like 3 years later when we pick back up in clip 4, Love Actually. Loretta is in a bath.
She has gone in this time as well. Like she's not a
Oh, right.
background character or anything. She's left town for all we know.
Okay, so after the slam door in his face, we don't really see her again.
There's a scene later in that episode where it's in the bonus stuff where she says, "You told me this was Lois' intervention," and they have that scene where they basically completely end the relationship, but Cleveland's got a bit more of a spine. Where
Okay,
he's like, "Well, I don't want to be with you either," and then that's it. She goes until this.
fair enough. Well, we find Loretta in a bathrobe in the bedroom where Quagmire is naked. Quagmire, get out of here, shouts Loretta. Come on, baby, it's time for round 2, he shouts. He's charging at her and she's jumping on the bed Benny Hill style. Ah, you are the devil. You ruined my marriage. You can't resist the Q-man and his superpowered genitalia. He jumps up on a trolley, knocking the dishes on the floor. Apache penis, nay, Chuck. Wearing sound as he stands full frontal, showing his junk to Loretta. She has a quick look and then smacks him with the iron to the ground. Go on, you beat it, little neck. I'm a changed woman. I don't mess with your kind anymore. Awooga, he says.
I think he says you're a meanie.
Meanie, giggly, giggly, giggly.
Yeah, strange. I think they brought her back because maybe just out of that thing of, oh, shall we bring her back for an episode? Because there's not like a big plot point for it. It's just that Brian and Cleveland are trying to date the same woman. So Brian and Stewie just try and get Loretta to come back to free up the other woman from Cleveland.
Okay.
So
why is she in a hotel room? And why is Quagmire in that room?
it's convoluted. It's something to do with Brian and Stewie send Quagmire in to sort of test Loretta, I think, before sending Cleveland. I can't remember. It's something like it's intentional though. Like they've sent Quagmire to like see what Loretta does.
Okay.
I do like the screaming's funny. I like that she says you ruined my marriage as well.
Yeah.
Which is like abrasive and taking no real blame for the situation.
Yeah, because she invited Little Neck right in.
Yeah. And then kicked Cleveland out
Yeah.
immediately. But it seems like she spent the last 3 years softening and realizing the error of her ways. It seems like she's just come back fully. You kind of only see it in the bone. Only see it in the next clip a little bit, but she's just fully, I am back. I'm sorry. I was the one in the wrong. You're the best. Please get me back. Like she's completely done a 180 on the whole. And I wonder if he had done, how long that would have lasted before she just became Loretta. I think it would have been funny if they had got back together and then just by the next episode they were just back to acting how they acted in the early season.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Sure.
I'm wondering, like, if in the Cleveland show and Cleveland's family in general, whether they just steered away from that tension.
Yeah.
Do you think they found it
Actually,
stereotypical?
potentially. And also the Cleveland show outside of Cleveland is all voiced by racially appropriate actors at least.
Okay.
Oh no, the version of the Stewie is also the guy who voices Cleveland. But yeah, there was never a discussion of Loretta wasn't a solid enough character to be like, oh, if you don't want to do the voice anymore, should we look into like recasting and like keep her as a character? And they thought, no, let's just get rid of her. And it is more interesting because it's the same thing as Ned, isn't it? Like, well, if we get rid of Loretta, we can do way more stories with Cleveland.
But is his second wife an interesting character? I don't seem to hear. I really don't know anything about her.
I'd say she's interesting in the Cleveland show when she's like the second lead, so she has episodes and stories and like
All
friends,
right.
etc. But in Family Guy, she's basically just been relegated to Cleveland's wife, who will occasionally make lines that are like funny because they know that, although they're banking on people remembering her from the Cleveland show, they've not done anything in the show to like the kids as well. Like Cleveland Jr. has been in like one episode properly, where I think Peter shoots him.
Reunite on ice. Reunite on ice.
Nice.
Reunite on ice?
That's nice.
There's nothing quite as refreshing as a chilled bottle of Reuniti wine, red, white, or rosé.
On ice?
All right. Now it makes sense.
What I do like about Seth MacFarlane's style of comedy is he will just put things in. It's quite Peter Gayish, you know what? He'll just put things in that he remembers specifically from his childhood or teen, whether or not you will remember it.
That's good. Now, in the age of the interwebs, you can find it. Garlic bread.
Exactly. Well, it just becomes a thing, like Roadhouse or like Bird is the Word, etc. They just become like redefining culture because of Family Guy, in a sense.
Per cider made from 100% pears.
Yeah, Conway Twitty.
Clip 5, same. Loretta is
Indeed.
Loretta is opens the door to to a hotel room, and it is Cleveland. Cleveland, she is happy, surprised. Hello, Loretta. Hello, Loretta. Come in, baby. Have you thought about what I said? Yes, I have, and I still love you, Loretta. Can't do his voice.
I like the way he says Loretta, though. He says Loretta.
Loretta. Loretta.
Nice.
Where's it set? Where are they supposed to, where is Quaxatottle?
It is Quahog, Rhode Island, so it's
Rhode
very,
Island.
but only really Peter and Lois have the Rhode Island sort of voice.
Because it's not too
it's just
far. Massachusetts, kind of Boston, that's what he does in Ted, right?
Yeah, and I believe it's based on like Peter's based on like a specific security guard that he knew, so he's probably that's why it's Rhode Island, because this guy that he's based it on is that kind of accent. So it probably all is based around Peter.
Oh, Cleveland, she throws off her dressing gown, showing her pearly white knickers and brassiere. But he rubs his head. Loretta, we leave certain parts of our lives in the past for a reason. What you and I, you can go ahead and put your clothes back on. She picks up the dressing gown. What you and I...
Favorite Cleveland delivery of this entire thing.
Yeah, what you and I, you can go ahead and put your clothes back on. What you and I had was a wonderful thing, as much as I have, and I still have a great deal of love for you, but our time is over. Our time is over. I love someone else. Gentle piano music. Oh, is there anything I can do to make you happy? Yes, there is. You can live your life, Loretta. Live it as full and as wonderful as you can. I love you. Gives him a peck on the cheek, exits and closes the doors. She is sad and tears fall from her eyes.
Yes, Family Guy does this thing where it tries for sometimes it does it, but it tries for those like Simpsons moments that are nice, but it doesn't really try hard. Like the dialogue here is very kind of generic.
But that's how I'm searching, because I was sure it was from a movie where someone says that you can live your life as full and beautiful as you can, and then they leave them. But no, apparently it is just a generic line that Cleveland is saying.
Yeah, like there's not a lot of Cleveland Loretta kind of isms in this. It's just very generic, like a couple is ending their relationship. But the next clip is completely unnecessary because they've completely wrapped up her character here. They've made her sort of redeemable and then she's gone off to live the rest of her life with no real reason at all to bring her back. Like they could have done anything to it's not even the Simpsons isn't particularly tied to logic if they don't need it to be. Like, but Family Guy's never once been like they will do something because it needs to happen in the episode. Like, it's not they don't have to get there like naturally. The fact that they brought her back to kill her to explain why Cleveland had moved. No, sorry, to say that she'd taken the house back and that's why Cleveland had moved.
Oh,
Seems
is that the
entirely
logic there?
unnecessary.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I think
what.
that's
Okay.
what the first episode is sort of saying, that she came back and said, "No, it's my house. I want it back. You go and you take the kid."
And is
But
the
with
joke that he doesn't move very far away? Is that the kind of
he moves to Virginia.
okay?
I think it's West Virginia that he moves to. So it's like, mid-state.
No, it's not that far.
I'd say it's roughly 10 hours, 25 minutes, maybe
It's
like
600 miles, but that in America, that's nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why they never shied away from having like Cleveland still appeared in like Family Guy cutaway gags or like phone conversations and vice versa. Like the Family Guy characters are fairly prominent within the Cleveland show.
That kind of I like that style for a spin-off. You want the spin-off to not be like, oh, now we're just absolutely unconnected to that place we were there before. But it's hard to get those guest stars in, right? Happy
Silly, like,
Days. Happy Days was a whole family of them, right?
Yeah, and the only other thing I can think of is like Frasier and like all of his peers, friends. Like they tend to all like Joey. They do, which gets mentioned. They do they forget everything from the like someone will be the most important person in their life in like the main show, and then they'll spin off and never mention them again.
Yeah, but here you go. Like so, 76, Laverne and Shirley. Then Blansky's Beauties in 77, and then Happy Days was the original show, right? And then they spun off Laverne and Shirley, Blansky's Beauty. Then Mork and Mindy was a spin-off of Happy Days. Out of the Blue, and then the Fonz and the Happy Days cartoon, and then of course Joni Loves Chachi.
That's one that I remember the name of.
And then the Fonz Hour. Yeah, they had like 6 spin-offs of Happy Days.
Which is shocking in like Back to the Simpsons. It's very surprising they never did that kind of cash in there. Like midway through when it was like season like 13 onwards, when they still had the numbers, just not the sort of reviews. I'm very surprised they didn't just bang out like 5 spin-offs there and then.
Yeah, and I guess maybe they had a strong reason for not doing that. And that's the same thing we've kind of criticized in a way, is that they refused to go away from that main family too much. They just kept coming back to The Simpsons over and over again and barely moved away from them, even though it's such a rich cast of secondary characters. Not a mistake that those humans on planet Earth with the Modcast are about to make.
Exactly. They don't know what's about to hit them. But yeah, Cleveland was a good character to do it with, I think, because he was, by the time he got this show as well, they definitely developed him more into like a silly, like he's got the low personality and then he'll just have like high energy moments or like high energy line deliveries. And at this point, he'd become like a fan favorite.
Okay.
As opposed to like the early days when he was just, kind of like not really the Barney, but, well, it depends which Barney we mean, Rubble or Gumble.
Rubble or Gumble. Clip 6, Cleveland Show. Season 1, episode 17, Gone with the Wind. Griffin is in Crane. I'll have this sucker in the bedroom in no time. He has a dinosaur skeleton on Crane. His watch beeps. Oh, time for United States of Terror. Terror. Tara. He throws his hat like in the movies, and the house has no roof. What is this? They are on some sort of street. He hits the controls and the dinosaur skeleton is thrown across the street into the front of the house. The crane falls over and Griffin shelters for shelter. Loretta is in the bath of destroyed house, and as the floor collapses, using the bath sliding down in reference to something I say, she slides down the slanted floor of the building, shouting no, 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 and lands on the ground in shattered bathtub. It is very Maudie.
It is very Maudie.
Oh God. Oh, look who's flying there look at the gross boobs, says Peter as he points at Loretta's corpse. As the tongue lops out of her mouth, Griffin is surrounded by Wheelchair Puddy, Chris, Mog, Stu, Dog, Quagmire, and they all point and laugh.
Exactly. Bonus goodbye, Loretta. It's way too. I've just Googled what the time thing was between like Family Guy season 7 and Cleveland Show season 1. and they're either the same year or it's the year after. So they didn't even like let her go off and live much of a life. So it sort of just renders that episode completely redundant in her story that she came back and asked for Cleveland back. They might as well have just not done that, and it would have made more sense for it to be like this. The Cleveland thing is like a running Family Guy gag where it happens to Cleveland all the time.
Which one?
One moment. Put this brief put this on for a second or a minute.
Oh, so this has happened to Cleveland already.
What the hell? No. I gotta stop taking my baths during Peter's shenanigans.
Okay.
No.
It's all right. I get that now. So,
Yeah.
and this, but that's a very good.
That's a seminal episode, Family Gay.
I get it, and that's funny how they twisted that. And no. And instead of her landing in naked with the bathrobe around her, she's killed, and then all of the Family Guy people come and laugh at her. It's grim. It's grim. That's cold.
It is. It wouldn't have worked for a character who wasn't as unlikable as Helen. No, I meant Loretta, but I was thinking about Helen Lovejoy because they could have done this. If they were going to do this on The Simpsons, they could do it to Helen, but not Maude, I would say, because Maude's too. They would just be like, they could do it to Maude, but
they would not do
wouldn't be
anything
as
like
fun.
this on The Simpsons at all. They wouldn't touch this kind of thing with a
No, but if
rusty pole.
They at least gave Maude it was still in the realm of comedy, but it was tasteful in the sense that, like she fell off the side and that was it. You didn't see anything else.
It wasn't funny though. This was amusing, other than the fact that it is
especially
a dead human.
Slowed down at the end, but there's a lot of parallels between this and the Maude death. Peter being to blame directly, being the first one, or something as as trivial as him bending down for a bobby pin and Peter's going inside to watch the TV show The United States of Tara, which is just like a one season sitcom.
Right.
And I like that they just picked something very just reading things. I like that they picked something. I don't remember what the end of the sentence was, but I like that they picked it. I'm sure I'll just put it in the edit.
Yeah.
There's similarities. Falling being a method of death. Those are both similarities.
No footlongs in either.
No. Yeah, and then Cleveland goes on later. I put them in at first, these bath things, and then Cleveland's explanation, but it was more of a Cleveland thing. But he goes on to explain in the bonus thing when he cries at the funeral. He's also got some kind of fiber thing, which is why he keeps farting throughout some of the bonus clips while he's talking. That's like the B story of this episode with Loretta dying, is that he's got like a high fiber diet going on. So he's just like, that's why when he jumps into the grave crying, he's also farting. That stems from the fact that this has happened to him like 7 or 8 times and he survived them all, and it happens to Loretta once and she breaks it.
Yeah.
He feels like a survivor's guilt as opposed to like a lover's grief, and that's why that's where it just that's how it wraps up with Cleveland and Loretta, that he's perfectly fine that she's dead because he's moved on. Same with Cleveland Jr., who I couldn't find. There probably is, but I couldn't find any clips of Loretta with Cleveland Jr. I didn't look particularly hard though, so It's likely, but I can't think of a single time where they've interacted on screen. So they again, Rod and Todd, it was easy to kill Rod and Todd's parent because of the heaven stuff, and it was easy to get around the Cleveland Jr. thing because he basically just says that, I've not seen her for years. It never, when they split up though, it's never really established where he is. Like Cleveland Jr. doesn't appear from like the early seasons until the Cleveland show.
It seems like they kind of copped out with that, and instead of having Cleveland Jr. and Loretta play a meaningful part in Cleveland's life and be some sort of kind of counterbalance to him or some sort of weird dynamic, they just killed her off and just gave him a generic kind of family.
Yeah, I don't mind the Cleveland Jr. reboot in that they made him they just aged him by like 2 years and made him entirely different to what he was in the early season. But I was thinking about this the other day in just thought of the Loretta cast, and if they'd have moved her with him in the sitcom as like a cantankerous neighbor across the street, Yeah,
of
that
course,
would
right?
have. But then, yeah, I think the issue was that Borstein was like, I don't want. Loretta never got any big monologue or lines or like development because Borstein wasn't interested in making a speech
Ooh,
plot, basically.
McFarlane cop out. That's not good enough.
Yeah, so they could have got around that with a new actress, but they did not, and they just chose to make her a sacrificial lamb, basically. For the Family Guy kills off slightly more characters in The Simpsons permanently, but Loretta's up there with in the sort of vein of characters that have been around for a while and then they just die and that's it. That's the end of them.
Here, it makes me think of the fall of Maud Flanders. Had that been mirrored earlier by Homer falling multiple times from very similar kind of situations, like if there'd been a running gag where every time Homer was at a sports event, he fell over the back wall.
I like God.
Well, the gorge one, yeah, but I mean, like literally, like the same thing. Like he went to a stadium like 10 times, and every time he went for like hot dogs, and he fell over the back wall, and that was the joke. And then they did it with Marge, and she, ka-ching, didn't survive.
Yeah, they could have set up that season 11 of the new she was going to be going. They could have set up like a
running
convoluted way of
gag.
having Homer fall for like in some way over like those 11 episodes and Maud be present, but.
It wouldn't be that hard to
lent
get him to a
itself-
sports stadium. I'm sure he was already in some sports stadiums in that season.
Probably. We'll just go back. You should have a listen to the Mordcast. It's quite good. But only quite.
But only quite. I don't remember saying quite good.
No.
What about that bonus? What about that bonus goods? What struck you from those?
Well, I'll just say lastly that rest in peace, Loretta.
Rest in peace.
I was going to say something, but I forgot again. It was about the character of Loretta Brown.
What about that bonus good?
The death, the method of death here lent itself very well. Like I imagine they thought, let's kill Loretta. How should we do it? This is a great way to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is more like in line with its own show than the Maud one. But look at the face.
It is humorous
so
how they've murdered her. Yeah.
Yeah, and the bonus stuff was to just give more of a sense of who she is. There's nothing in there that was worthy of a clip on its own, because a lot of it is just Cleveland rehashing, either showing her being angry. The stuff about the 3 jokes in a row about her mum. Right, we need to go to the shop to get some kibbles and bits. Right, we need to get a new mattress for the dog bed. And then he just says, "Your mother smells."
Unbelievable.
22 son.
52 images of the Ouija boys.
They are amazing though. They're all. I feel like I need to do something with them.
2,000 years of Ouija board.
Might do a sort of credit video or something of the like.
Oh, they'll find their way into our proper Ouija boards.
Lemmy and Gordon, Evelyn and Loretta of the real world.
Yeah, I don't think we'll learn too much about Loretta here. She's a Quagmire did some unquestionable things to her pops, and Cleveland doesn't like her mother.
The funeral is quite good. Again, paralleling Maud. It's not my regular priest. I don't think they have an established priest in the Cleveland show. They should have just had David Lynch do it. He's in the crowd though,
right?
So that's already more celebrity guests than Maud's funeral. He just lists famous Loretta Brown from Wikipedia. He doesn't know anything about her, which is very sort of telling of the character. And then Cleveland cries and jumps on the grave and so all in all, yeah, not a lot to learn about her, but not nothing, which is always the goal here.
Not nothing, unfortunately. Not enough something though. There's slim pickings for art. There's this Connect the Dots 101 where basically it's just that you just connect her hair and neck.
Why? The hair would make sense if it was just the hair, but why do you have to do like one half of her face? I suppose they've done 1 and 2 for you to get you going, haven't they?
Get you going, innit?
That's good. Everybody should print that off at home and send them in. Not this one.
So I'm not really sure who did these. Somebody on what's it called? Demon Media.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. And it's basically a Loretta youthified in a bikini, and it says, "One chance to own this picture. If not sold, it will be destroyed again. One chance."
A good selling point. I believe it says that on the Mona Lisa.
On the back.
As with the character of Loretta, there's not really that much to say here. She's the face is good. they've designed the whole thing is designed well, but the
Yeah.
face is I sort of like the sort of cutifying of the eyes, if you will.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Other than
don't.
that, they've not even bothered making the outfit the same colour as her clothing, which they normally do on the Simpson ones of this caliber.
The second one is a DeviantArt is slightly less high quality, but it's the same premise. She's essentially wearing some saucy outfit. I got a feeling
Yes.
that that's some famous outfit, but I can't place it.
Well, she sort of looks like the drag queen Monet Exchange. So I feel like it's a cartoon. That to me looks like the cartoonized version of a male drag queen's body with a very small Loretta's head put on the top of it.
Possibly, because the style is not quite the same, and this is an unfortunate logo that is flanderings
It's like,
down her leg.
it is like they've just sort of cartoon traced photographs.
Key Skerada, Family Brown, Loretta Brown, Family Guy, pinup color. This one, it's one chance to own this picture. If not sold, it will be destroyed again. One chance. And this one,
Which
Loretta's gravity is
you
taking
able to-
hold.
Go on, you go first. I apologize.
I apologize. You please go first.
Which means either he lied or you paid for these pictures.
And I'll never reveal. I'll never tell. But yeah, in this one, the gravity's kind of taken hold from when the first one, things are looking quite buoyant, but by the time we get to the third one, it's natural town.
It is, however, she seems to have been working out.
Oh, she's got
But
the
she does
abs.
have I think it's the exact same face, just mirrored.
Very
Oh
similar,
no,
isn't
actually,
it?
maybe the smile is bigger on the second one. But
Oh yeah, Case
yes,
Kira has had a good go.
this is a side of Loretta none of us but Quagmire got to see.
Well, we tried to stay away, or they tried to stay away from saucy Maud pictures because it is a trope of the internet, and it's not a particularly original trope. But like I said, it was slim pickings for Loretta art. 3 saucy pictures and a dot and a dot to dot.
Exactly, and this isn't
And
the
then
first time this has happened. Cashmere, Norwich.
but these Papa Louis pals, they're everywhere, right? Literally there's like a billion of these out there on the internet, and everyone's wearing Crocs. They just have that same face. It's very poor.
It is very poor. I have not encountered these before, and
Really, I see them
I
every
don't-
time I look for art. It's like every single character you've ever seen has one of these.
oh nice, and that'll be a fun special.
They
Yeah,
all look
it's-
exactly the same.
If you showed me that without the words Loretta Brown under it, even if we were doing the Loretta cast, I'd still be like, I don't know who that's supposed to
I
be.
don't know who that is. That's it. That's the end.
That's the end of Loretta. I
That's
think
the end of it.
we covered her well. How do you feel about her in relation to our other cast? We should have a cast tier list.
This is the stars of stage and screen, isn't it? And so this is the first one. This is the first character. Oh no, Harmony, I didn't know anything about. I think this is Loretta and Harmony, but Loretta, a fun character, vastly underused. And although a funny ending and humorous interactions with Quagmire, and I did not get to see enough of that feisty Loretta to offset the cool cucumber that is Cleveland.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. I think outside of maybe Creed and Jared, all of our stars of stage and screen fit into that kind of thing of underused. Like we would have liked to see more of Philip Jeffries in both metal and
Bowie.
human form and Bowie form. And Jonah was used prominently for a long time and then basically never used again from the looks of things. Cindy could have done with a flashback. But yeah, I kind of argue Harmony was the only one who was underused, and then they put her in a lot of episodes and kind of redeemed that underuse.
She became overused.
Yeah, she became credited, whereas yes, Loretta is not making the main credits at any point.
That's too bad. I think she strikes me as a unique character in the Family Guy. I don't think there's another angry character, right? I mean, Peter's this wild, happy Simpsons-esque thing, but there's not another character who's just driven by her fiery passion and anger.
No, not really. The only other one I can kind of think of is Lois's father. But in that kind of angry, grumpy old man way, not in the But it is unfortunately a bit of a trope that has to be sort of it's being shied away from, is the, like the aggressive black woman neighbor is
Oh, yeah. I mean, they get themselves into some potentially hot water there, but she's an interesting character.
yeah. At the same time, there was no other characters bringing this kind of energy to Family Guy, were the
That's
same.
right.
Sort of, they could have used her a lot more as the this is a stupid, what are you doing? This is stupid sort of character.
No, that's the character of Susie, isn't it? In Curb, that's what I'm talking about. Like she hates Larry David, and she basically she calls him. But I watched a later season where it was clear that the joke had been massively played out, and it was like this. Yes, we get your joke. The joke is that Larry says something offensive, and then you get offended by it and call him names. It's like, yes, you can only use that so many times.
Yeah, I think it would have worked better with Cleveland as well, like the Cleveland show idea of bringing her in as a neighbor or a recurring, like a boss maybe, or like just a recurring. Maybe she worked with Cleveland's new wife, etc. But
Yeah,
I think bringing
absolutely.
her in with a new voice, they rebooted Cleveland Junior, and they could have used the chance to reboot Loretta as well. But I just think sadly the interest was not there for that character to be.
Could
It
they
was
bring her
easier to
back?
just kill her off and start again.
But that's what I
No,
thought was a cop out to kill her off rather than keep her around and have to write some more kind of like challenging, interesting stuff.
yeah, the last brief point is they also had like I don't know if it still exists, but a Family Guy kind of tapped out for a while.
Right?
And it basic again, just copied, but with sort of different mechanics, so it wasn't entirely copied, which is why I gave up on it quickly, because they sort of had to make it more tedious, so it was different to The Simpsons tapped out.
Could they not have made it less tedious?
I think The Simpsons tapped out as a sort of the sort of least tedious formula for a game where they want you to spend money.
Oh, okay.
Like it doesn't like you can still play it without having to spend money. And I found the Family Guy one was basically played it for like 2 weeks, and then it was like, if you want to get anything or like progress where this is an actual game and you're not just checking it like once a week, it's gonna cost you. But they did bring a Loretta's Ghost is available as a character.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, and I was thinking because it mentioned a game. Yeah, it didn't strike me that they might have a tapped out knockoff.
Yeah, I'm gonna look and see if it still exists. But yeah, another just vague similarity there. And then yeah, you only see her once after he's died, and it's when he's on that big boat with all the other characters who've passed away, like Diane and Mr. Weed.
Righty. Well, that's the end. I don't think we do a song on these ones, do we?
I don't think so. We'll find out at a later date.
The brothers 1-5 and 2-6 indeed performed end songs for the Creed Bratton, Jared Dunn, Cindy Chandler, and Harmony Kendall episodes. Philip Jeffries onwards, there has been no end song. For 8, 15, 16, 23, 42 out.
And do some additional song added stuff. I'll just put the one in from the last set of staging screens.
The Jonah one.
Yeah, but I'll change the word Jonah to Loretta if we say the word Jonah.
Jonah. That's fun. I'm going to start recording. The end.